The rain hammered down like God's own judgment, turning the deserted stretch of Highway 101 into a slick ribbon of regret. And that's when my tire blew out with a scream that echoed my own buried scream. I slammed on the brakes, the old pickup fishtailing wildly before grinding to a halt on the shoulder, gravel spitting up like accusations under the wheels. As the engine ticked its death rattle in the downpour, I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles bleached white, whispering to the empty cab, "Not now, not fucking now." Because if the universe was listening, it knew this breakdown was just the latest in a string of them I couldn't outrun. I'd been driving too fast, fleeing the ghost of a life that no longer fit. The kind of speed that comes from slamming the door on a boyfriend's betrayal and a best friend's oblivious loyalty all in the same godforsaken afternoon. Aaron, my roommate since freshman year at UC Santa Cruz, had no idea why I'd bolted from our cramped apartment in Felton without so much as a backward glance. "Dude, where you headed?" He'd yelled after me, his voice muffled by the screen door, but I couldn't face him, not with the fresh bruise of Jake's words. "You're too much drama, Chris, just too much," still throbbing in my chest like a fresh tattoo. Jake, the guy I'd poured 2 years into, the one who'd promised forever over late-night tacos in the Mission District, had shattered it all with a casual scroll through his phone, some Grindr hookups number lighting up like a flare. The wipers slapped futilely against the torrent, blurring the red taillights of semis roaring past without a glance. I was 23, broke as hell from slinging lattes at a boardwalk cafe, and now stranded 30 miles south of San Francisco on a road that felt like the edge of the world. My phone buzzed in the cup holder, probably Aaron again, but I let it die there, battery as spent as my resolve. What was I even running to? Back to my folks' place in Bakersfield? The idea curdled in my gut. Dad's Bible-thumping silences and Mom's worried side eyes had driven me north in the first place, chasing dreams of fog-shrouded freedom and a love that wouldn't flinch at who I was. Headlights pierced the sheets of rain behind me, slow and deliberate, not the blur of indifference. A black SUV pulled up, hazards flashing like a hesitant heartbeat, and as the driver's door swung open, I braced for the worst. Some redneck good Samaritan with a tow hook and unsolicited advice. But the figure that emerged, silhouetted against the storm, was broader than broad, shoulders cutting through the deluge like he owned the weather itself. He unfolded an umbrella, the kind with a wooden handle that screamed old money, and strode toward my truck with the unhurried grace of a man who'd faced down worse than a flat in the sticks. "You all right in there, son?" His voice boomed over the roar, deep and gravelly, laced with that East Coast edge that said Jersey via the Bay Area suburbs. I cracked the window, rain spitting in like an unwelcome guest, and met his eyes, steel gray, framed by crow's feet that spoke of laughter and loss in equal measure. Mid-40s, maybe 50, with salt and pepper hair cropped military short and a jawline that could carve granite. He wore a navy peacoat over jeans that hugged just right, no wedding band glinting in the dash light when he leaned in. "Yeah, just tires toast," I muttered, hating how my voice cracked, how the vulnerability seeped out unbidden. Up close, he smelled like sandalwood and rain-soaked leather, a far cry from Jake's cheap Axe body spray. He nodded, unfazed, scanning the undercarriage with a flashlight that cut through the gloom like truth serum. "Looks like you hit debris. Name's Harlan Reed. You got a spare?" I shook my head, the weight of the day pressing down. "Nah, and my phone's deader than this road." A beat, then he straightened, umbrella tilting to shield us both. "Well, hell, can't leave you out here like roadkill. Pop the hood. I'll call my boy, see if he can swing by with tools. Aaron's not far, crashing in Felton these days." Aaron. My stomach dropped like a stone. Harlan Reed, Aaron's dad. The man I'd only glimpsed at holidays, always on the periphery with a quiet nod and a beer in hand. The widower who'd raised a son solo after cancer claimed his wife a decade back. I'd heard the stories. Harlan, the high school football coach turned real estate broker, the guy who fixed neighbors' roofs for free and volunteered at the local LGBTQ center without fanfare. But seeing him now, close enough to count the silver threads in his stubble, felt like fate's cruel punchline. He didn't wait for protests, already dialing on his own cell, his free hand steady on the truck's doorframe. Hey kiddo, yeah, it's me. Listen, I'm on 101, mile marker 42. Picked up a stray with a flat. You know a Christian? Yeah, your roommate. Bring the jack from the garage, will ya? And hurry, storm's biblical. As he hung up, our eyes locked through the glass, and for a split second, something unspoken flickered there. Recognition, maybe, of the masks we both wore so well. He'll be here in 20, Harlan said, softer now, like he sensed the storm inside me raging louder than the one outside. In the meantime, let's get you out of this tin can before you drown in your thoughts. I climbed down, boots splashing into puddles that mirrored the chaos in my head, and followed him to the SUV. The interior was warm, all leather seats, and that new car scent undercut by faint traces of pipe tobacco. He tossed me a towel from the back, wiped down Marine, and cranked the heat, the defrosters humming like a lullaby. We sat in companionable silence at first, the rain a curtain between us and the world, until he broke it with a casual, "Rough day. You don't spill to strangers, especially not your best friend's dad." But Harlan had that quality, like a confessional booth without the guilt. "You could say that," I replied, voice muffled in the towel. "X just ended things. Clean break, he called it. More like a chainsaw." He grunted, eyes on the road ahead, fingers drumming the wheel. Chainsaws leave scars. Seen plenty of those on the field. Kids tackling life too hard. Pause, heavy with subtext. "But you strike me as the type who rebuilds stronger." I laughed, bitter and short. "Flattery from a coach? What's next? A pep talk?" "Only if you need one." His gaze slid sideways, steady and searching, peeling back layers I hadn't meant to show. "Life's got a way of flattening us all, Christian. Question is, do you let it roll over you? Or do you jack it up and fix the damn thing?" 20 minutes blurred into stories. His mostly tales of coaching turnarounds and late-night vigils by his wife's bedside, laced with a humor that disarmed like a well-timed block. Mine slipped out in fragments. The conservative roots I'd fled, the grind of coming out in a town where rainbows were just weather patterns, the ache of loving someone who couldn't love back fully. Harlan listened without judgment, his nods like anchors in the flood. By the time Aaron's beat-up Civic rattled up, tools clanking in the trunk, the rain had eased to a drizzle, and something in me had shifted. Just a crack, but enough for light to seep in. We jacked the truck together, Harlan's hands sure and calloused over mine on the lug nuts, Aaron cracking jokes to mask his worry. "Man, Dad's got a hero complex," he said, clapping my shoulder, oblivious to the undercurrent humming between the three of us. As I drove off toward whatever fragile horizon awaited, Harlan's parting words lingered. "Call if you need a pit stop, kid. Doors always open." I didn't, not that night. But in the rearview, his taillights fading, I felt seen. Not as Aaron's sidekick or Jake's discard, but as Christian, raw and real. Little did I know, that flat tire had just veered me straight into a collision course with a man who'd unearthed pains I'd buried deeper than roots in California clay. The weeks that followed blurred into a haze of double shifts at the cafe and nights crashing on Aaron's couch, pretending the splinter in my heart wasn't festering. Felton was a sleepy speck on the map, redwoods towering like ancient sentinels over ramshackle Victorians, the kind of place where secrets fermented slow under the canopy. Aaron, bless his oblivious soul, filled the air with playlists of indie folk and half-baked plans for our post-grad startup. Some app for tracking coastal trails, because who didn't need GPS for heartbreak hikes? "You're the visionary Chris," he'd say, tossing me a beer from the mini-fridge. "I'm just the code monkey." But visions felt distant, tainted by Jake's ghost. His texts had stopped, replaced by radio silence that screamed louder than any fight. I'd scroll through old photos on incognito mode, masochistic rituals in the witching hour. Us at Pride in the Castro, rainbow flags whipping in the wind, his arms slung around me like it meant something eternal. Now, it all tasted like ash, and the mirror in our bathroom mocked me with hollow cheeks and eyes that dodged their own reflection. Harlan's SUV became a fixture in my periphery, pulling into the driveway across town where Aaron's childhood home squatted. a two-story craftsman with peeling blue paint and a basketball hoop still nailed to the garage, net frayed from years of idle dreams. I'd catch glimpses during pickups. Harlan in the yard, pruning roses with surgical precision, his flannel sleeves rolled to elbows that courted with quiet power. Once, our eyes met over the fence as I walked Buster, Aaron's mangy lab mix, and he waved, that easy grin flashing like a signal fire. "How's the truck holding?" he'd call, and I'd mumble back, "Roadworthy." Heart thudding disproportionate to the exchange. It started innocently enough. A thank you coffee, black and scalding, delivered to his office in Scotts Valley during a slow afternoon. Harlan's brokerage was a modest storefront squeezed between a taqueria and a vape shop, walls lined with glossy listings of beachfront escapes no one in Felton could afford. He looked up from a stack of comps, surprise softening into warmth. "Well, if it isn't the prodigal flat tire. To what do I owe the caffeine ambush?" "Figured I owed you one," I said, sliding the cup across his desk, our fingers brushing in that electric happenstance that sends sparks up your arm. His office smelled of fresh ink and sea salt, maps of the Monterey Peninsula thumbtacked like treasures. We talked real estate then. His passion for flipping fixer-uppers into homes that breathe, turning strangers' neglect into legacies. "It's not about the square footage," he said, leaning back in his creaky chair, tie loosened like an afterthought. "It's the stories the walls hold. Ghosts, good and bad. You gotta honor 'em." I nodded, perched on the edge of a client chair, knees bouncing under the intensity of his gaze. "Sounds like therapy with a hammer." "Close enough," he sipped, eyes crinkling. "And you, Christian? What's your story these days?" "Aaron says you're dodging his grand app ideas like a pro." A laugh escaped, genuine this time, loosening the knot in my chest. "He's relentless. But yeah, trying to figure out the next chapter. Post-Jake edition." The name hung there, a gauntlet thrown. Harlan set the cup down, deliberate. "Aaron mentioned. Sounds like the boys' loss. You deserve someone who sees the whole field, not just the goal line." Heat crept up my neck. Not embarrassment, but the raw edge of being known, even peripherally. We veered to safer ground. His glory days coaching at Santa Cruz High, turning ragtag teens into state champs. My fumbling soccer stints in high school, dodging cleats and closets in equal measure. Time slipped, the clock ticking past closing, until his assistant knocked, keys jingling. "Locking up, boss?" Harlan stood, towering yet unassuming. "Walk you out." It wasn't a question. The parking lot was bathed in golden hour slant, the Santa Cruz Mountains bruising purple in the distance. We lingered by my truck, small talk fraying into depths. His loneliness after Ellen's passing, the way grief hollows you out like a storm surge, my fear of fading into the wallpaper back home, invisible in a family that loved me fierce but blind. "They try," I admitted, kicking gravel. "But it's like speaking different languages. I say gay, they hear gone." He clapped a hand on my shoulder, firm and fleeting, thumb lingering just a beat too long. "Family's a marathon, not a sprint. Give 'em time or don't. Your call." Then softer, "And hey, if you need an ear that doesn't flinch, mine's free. No playbook required." I drove home with windows down, salt air whipping my hair, Harlan's words replaying like a mixtape on loop. Aaron was sprawled on the couch when I got back, controller in hand, pixels exploding on the screen. "Where you been, ghost?" "Dad texted me, said you dropped by. Plotting world domination." "Something like that," I evaded, raiding the fridge for leftovers. But sleep evaded me that night, tangled in sheets that smelled faintly of Jake's cologne I'd never washed out. Harlan's face intruded, those gray eyes, steady as foghorns in the bay, stirring something dormant, a pull toward warmth I'd long since iced over. The invitations trickled in subtle. A backyard barbecue at the Reeds, Aaron manning the grill while Harlan manned the stories, drawing me into orbits of laughter with uncles and cousins who ribbed without malice. "So you're the one keeping my nephew out of juvie?" one aunt teased, pressing a plate of ribs into my hands. Harlan watched from the porch, beer in hand, his nod a private anchor amid the chaos. One evening, post-dinner cleanup, I found him in the garage, elbow-deep in an old Harley he'd resurrected from Ellen's era. Grease streaked his forearms like war paint, and he looked up, wiping sweat with the back of his hand. Fancy a lesson? Nothing clears the head like wrenching. I rolled up my sleeves, awkward but eager, his instructions a low rumble. Loosen here, torque there. Feel the resistance, then give. Our hands overlapped on the chain, calluses rasping, and the air thickened, charged with unspoken voltage. "You're a natural," he murmured, close enough I could trace the pulse in his throat. "Beginner's luck." My voice was husky, traitorous. He straightened, wiping his hands on a rag, eyes locking mine with an intensity that buckled my knees. "Luck's got nothing to do with it, Christian. You've got steady hands." The garage light buzzed overhead, casting shadows that danced like secrets. Aaron's laughter filtered from the house, a reminder of lines we danced on. I left with oil under my nails and a heart-pounding rebellion, wondering if the pain I'd hidden was cracking open not to spill, but to invite. Little cracks became fissures. A late-night text from Harlan. Storms brewing again. Road clear. Pulled me to his doorstep under pretense of checking the truck. Coffee turned to scotch in his study. Bookshelves groaning with biographies of underdogs and leather-bound plays. A life curated with intention. We talked until the fire died in the grate. His closeted youth in '80s Jersey, the bi-awakening that Ellen had embraced with grace. My fumbling firsts in dorm rooms, the terror of labels that stuck like burrs. "You're brave, you know that?" he said one night, glass midway to his lips, firelight gilding his profile. "Facing down the world with your chin up. Takes guts. Brave." The word landed like absolution, thawing places I'd frozen solid. Our knees brushed under the coffee table, accidental at first, then deliberate, a Morse code of what-ifs. When Aaron crashed early, citing a coding binge, Harlan walked me to the door, hand at my elbow. "Stay safe out there," he said, thumb grazing my arm, lingering. I drove into the dark, pulse a drum solo, the line between friend of a friend and something more blurring like headlights in fog. Betrayal loomed in the shadows. Not yet named, but whispering. Aaron's trust, Harlan's solitude, my own fragile rebuild. Yet in that suspended breath, I felt alive, seen. The flat tires curse twisting into unforeseen grace. Fall crept in on tiptoe, painting the redwoods in rust and gold. But the warmth between Harlan and me burned hotter. A secret bonfire we fed in stolen slivers. Mornings at the cafe blurred into autopilot. Steaming oat milk for hungover surfers, forcing smiles for tips. While afternoons bled into errands that deposited me at his brokerage, poring over blueprints like they held the map to our unspoken hunger. "This Victorian in Capitola," he'd say, unrolling schematics across his desk. His finger tracing cornices with the same reverence he'd soon trace my jaw in the dim of his truck cab. "Needs love. Like everything worth saving." Our touches escalated in increments. A hand on my lower back guiding me through crowded open houses, fingers lingering in the small of it. Shared umbrellas on drizzly walks to lunch trucks, shoulders brushing with intent. One afternoon, amid the salt tang of the boardwalk, he bought me a corn dog. "Don't knock it till you try." And we sat on a bench facing the Pacific, waves crashing like confessions. "Ellen loved these," he admitted, ketchup dotting his lip. "Said they tasted like summer sins." I wiped it away with my thumb, bold in the anonymity of tourists, and his inhale was sharp, eyes darkening to slate. "Careful, Christian. Some sins stick." The warning thrilled more than it warned. That night, Aaron dragged me to a bonfire at the beach. Locals huddled around driftwood pyres, guitars strumming covers of Fleetwood Mac. Harlan arrived late, fashionably rugged in a Henley that hugged his chest, claiming a spot beside me on a log slick with spray. Aaron, 3 beers deep, launched into tales of our college idiocies, the time we streaked the quad after a Kings of Leon show. Oblivious to the undercurrent, the way Harlan's knee pressed mine, steady as a vow. As embers died and the crowd thinned, Aaron wandered off for supplies. leaving us in the fire's dying glow. Harlan's hand found mine in the shadows, calloused palm engulfing, thumb stroking knuckles like a prayer. This, us, he murmured, voice low against the surf. It's trouble, kid. Good trouble, maybe. But my boy's heart. I know. The words tasted like brine. Aaron, with his easy grins and unwavering loyalty, the brother I'd chosen when blood failed. Betraying that felt like carving out my own ribs. Yet Harlan's grip tightened, pulling me closer, our foreheads touching in a breath-stealing intimacy. Tell me to stop, he whispered, breath warm on my lips. I didn't. Our first kiss was salt and smoke, tentative then torrent, his hand cupping my nape with a gentleness that belied his strength. It shattered me open, Jake's specter dissolving in the flood of something realer, rawer. A man's quiet storm meeting my own. We broke apart gasping, eyes wide in the moonlight, the world tilting on its axis. Jesus, he breathed, fingers tracing my swollen lip. You're gonna ruin me, Christian Hale. The walk back was agony, hands shoved in pockets to hide the tremble. Aaron reappearing with a six-pack and zero clues. You two look like you saw a ghost, he laughed, slinging arms around us both. Harlan's chuckle was strained, his glance my way a promise deferred. Guilt gnawed like tide pools eroding cliffs. I threw myself into distractions. Trail runs through Henry Cowell, pounding dirt until lungs burned clean. Late shifts where the espresso machines hissed drowned inner monologues. But Harlan was magnetic north, pulling me to his garage under guise of Harley tweaks, where we'd work side by side until excuses frayed and mouths met again, hungrier each time. We should talk parameters, he'd say post-kiss, forehead to mine, but parameters dissolved in the heat. Then came the conflict's first thunderclap. Jake resurfaced via a mutual friend at a house party in Santa Cruz. Uninvited drama crashing like a rogue wave. I was nursing a seltzer in the kitchen, Aaron schmoozing investors for our app, when Jake sidled up, all charm and contrition, eyes glassy from whatever chased his highs. Missed you, Chris. That fight? Heat of the moment. Let's grab coffee. Reset. His hand on my arm ignited revulsion, not nostalgia. We're done, Jake. For real. He leaned in, breath sour. Come on, you always say that. Remember Ibiza? That villa. Ibiza was a lie, I hissed, wrenching free. You were scrolling hookups while I planned our future. Get out. He sneered, voice rising. Always the victim, huh? No wonder you're still crashing with Aaron like a lost puppy. The room spun, old wounds ripping wide, until a shadow loomed. Harlan, who'd swung by to pick up Aaron early. His presence was a wall, arm draping casual over my shoulders, voice steel-wrapped velvet. Problem here, gentlemen? Jake faltered, sizing up the interloper, older, broader, exuding the quiet authority of a man who'd buried wives and won championships. Nah, just catching up with my boy. Your boy looks done catching. Harlan's tone brooked no argument, his grip on me firm, protective. Jake slunk off, tail between legs, and the party buzzed on, none the wiser. Outside, under street lamps flickering like faulty stars, Harlan pulled me into a hug that crushed air from lungs. You okay? Getting there. I buried my face in his coat, inhaling sanctuary. Thanks for that. Anytime. His lips brushed my temple, chaste yet charged. But as Aaron piled into the truck, hollering about epic saves, the weight settled. Secrets stacking like Jenga, one wrong pull from collapse. The romance deepened in whispers. Notes slipped into my glove box during Aaron's barbecues, Harlan's scrawl inviting consults that were code for coastal drives. Windows down, his hand on my thigh as we traced Big Sur's cliffs. We'd park at overlooks, making out like teens until stars wheeled overhead. His whispers of, I could get used to this, weaving spells around my scars. He shared Ellen's letters, yellowed pages of love unyielding, teaching me vulnerability wasn't weakness but bridge building. Yet shadows lengthened. Aaron noticed my distractions. You're spacing, dude. Jake's still messing with your head. His concern a knife twist. Harlan confessed doubts in quiet hours. I'm old enough to know better, but damn if you don't make me feel young. Age gap, 13 years, loomed unspoken, me the fumbling millennial, him the seasoned survivor. The betrayal brewed slow, a pot left unattended. It erupted on a crisp November eve. Aaron bursting into the apartment unannounced, face thunderous. I just hung up from Harlan, our call laced with I miss yous, when the door slammed. What the hell, Chris? Dad's been weird, distracted, canceling plans. And you're always out. Spill. I froze, gut plummeting. It's nothing. Work stress. Bullshit. He paced, phone clutched like evidence. I saw you two at the beach last week. The way he looked at you. It's not right. He's my dad, man. Off limits. The room shrank, air thick. Aaron. No. If you're screwing around with him, end it. For me. His eyes, so like Harlan's in their gray plea, cracked my resolve. Betrayal wasn't just mine. It was a triad. Love's ugly underbelly. I nodded, mute, as he stormed out. Alone. I sank to the floor, Harlan's voice echoing in my skull. Fix the damn thing. But some flats couldn't be patched. They required whole new tires, new roads. The pain I'd hidden surged, tidal and unforgiving, stranding me anew. Not on asphalt, but in the wreckage of hearts I dared to mend. Winter clamped down on the coast like a vice. Winds howling off the Pacific to strip leaves bare and illusions thinner. The confrontation with Aaron hung between us like fog, thick, obscuring, impossible to navigate without collision. He moved through our shared space like a specter. Nods curt, silences loaded with accusations unspoken. Coffee? He'd offer mornings, voice neutral as dishwater. But his eyes skittered away, the trust we'd built over bad acid trips and all-nighters fracturing like sea glass under boot. I threw myself into the app, coding late into nights lit by laptop glow, fingers flying over keys to outrun the ache. Harlan's texts tapered, missed the road trips. You holding? Each one a barb I ignored, deletion my coward's mercy. Guilt was a constant companion, twinned with longing. Memories of his laugh rumbling through my chest, the way his hand dwarfed mine in prayer-like clasp. But Aaron's plea echoed louder. For me, brotherhood over budding love, loyalty's brutal arithmetic. Harlan cornered me first at a neutral ground, the local diner on Highway 9, Formica counters scarred from decades of pie and confessions. He slid into the booth opposite, coat dusted with frost, face etched deeper by worry lines. Aaron talked to you. It wasn't a question. I nodded, stirring sugar into coffee that scalded my resolve. He knows. Suspects. Told me to back off. For his sake. Harlan's jaw tightened, knuckles blanching on his mug. Damn fool kid. Thinks he can dictate my heart. But beneath the bluster, hurt flickered. Paternal wound. The fear of losing son to his own choices. He's protecting you. From the mess. My voice cracked, the diner's jukebox crooning Springsteen like ironic underscore. Maybe he's right. I'm the complication, the flat tire in your lane. Bull. He reached across, hand engulfing mine, thumb tracing veins like rivers on a map. You jacked me up, Christian. Made me feel alive after years of coasting neutral. Ellen always said love's not tidy. It's the grit under nails, the late-night fixes. Tears pricked, hot and traitorous. But, Aaron, we tell him, together, no more shadows. His eyes held mine, steel forged in fire. Or we walk. Your call. The ultimatum landed like winter's first frost, choices crystallizing in the cold. I chose truth, fragile as it was, and we drove to the Craftsman that evening. Knuckles grazed in the cab, Harlan's radio tuned low to Coltrane's sax wail. Aaron answered the door shirtless, fresh from a run, sweat beading on his temple. Surprise morphed to storm clouds as he clocked us. Harlan's arm at my back, the united front. What is this? Intervention hour. Talk, Harlan said, voice brooking no evasion, ushering us to the living room where family photos lined the mantel. Ellen radiant, Aaron gap-toothed in Little League, Harlan's arm around them both like a shield. We sat, me on the edge of the couch, Harlan beside, Aaron across like a prosecutor. Words tumbled. The flat tires serendipity, stolen moments building to something profound. The pain we'd both hidden. Mine from betrayal's blade, his from widowhood's void. It's real, son, Harlan finished, hand finding mine openly now. Scary as hell, but real. Aaron's face cycled fury to disbelief to something shattered. You're my dad, and he's like a brother. This is fucked. He stood, pacing, hands raking hair. How long? While I'm clueless, playing third wheel. Since the beach, I admitted, gut twisting. We tried to stop. Stop? That's my line. Laughter, bitter bark. You too, conspiring behind my back. Betrayal, Chris? From you. The word landed like a sucker punch. Jake's echo amplified. Harlan rose, hand on Aaron's shoulder. Hey, no one's betraying. We're owning it now. Hate me if you need. I'm the adult here. But Aaron's glare pinned me. You knew better. Crashed my family like you crashed your truck. He grabbed keys, storming out into the sleet, door slamming final as a guillotine. Silence swallowed us, Harlan pulling me close, his embrace fortress against the fallout. He'll come around, he murmured into my hair. Kids test fences to see if they hold. We held through the night. First real sleepover in his bed. Flannel sheets enveloping us in chasteness born of crisis. His heartbeat my lullaby. Dawn brought no Aaron, but resolve. We leaned in, dates proper now. Picnics at natural bridges, where monarchs fluttered like fragile hopes. Drives to Carmel, his hand in mine over gearshift, sharing dreams deferred. Yet conflict simmered. Aaron ghosted for days, texts unread, until a midnight knock shattered the fragile peace. He stood on the porch, eyes red-rimmed, rain slicked like accusation. Can't sleep, can't code, just, why him, Chris? Anyone but Dad. I pulled him inside, Harlan hovering in the hall. Because he sees me, Aaron. All the broken parts, the pain I hide under jokes and apps. Your dad's steady, he doesn't run. Aaron sank to the stairs, head in hands. Mom always said he'd find someone. Just, not like this. Feels like losing you both. Harlan knelt, father mode unbreakable. You're not losing shit, kid. We're expanding the circle, messy. Yeah, but stronger. Tears tracked his cheeks. Rare vulnerability cracking the coach's armor. Aaron nodded, tentative, hugging him fierce before turning to me. Embrace awkward, laced with forgiveness thorns. Reconciliation was tentative. Group hikes where Aaron ribbed us mercilessly. Get a room, old man. His barbs veiling acceptance. Holiday prep where we strung lights together, laughter edging out old hurts. But undercurrents pulled. Jake's shadow resurfacing in voicemails slurred with regret. Heard you're shacking with Aaron's pops. Slumming it. Deleted, but doubt seeded. The high tide of our romance crested New Year's. Fog-shrouded eve at Harlan's. Just us 3+ Buster's snores. Fireworks burst over the bay as Harlan pulled me onto the deck. Kiss deepening with promise. This year, no hiding, he vowed. Ring of sea glass on my finger. Ellen's heirloom, repurposed. Aaron toasted from the doorway, grin genuine. To detours worth the flat, but peaks precede valleys. February brought Harlan's diagnosis. Prostate, early but insistent, a shadow from Ellen's ghost. Routine check, he downplayed, but fear gnawed. Treatments, unknowns, the fragility of our fledgling forever. I held him through nausea feigning flu, Aaron and I tag-teaming soups and sarcasm. Brotherhood reforged in waiting room's sterile hush. Sung. Peaked in spring, Jake's venom spilling public. A bar brawl in Watsonville. Him cornering me post-shift, breath whiskey rotten. Think you're hot shit with that daddy fetish? He's using you, kid. Pity fuck for his midlife. Fists flew, mine connecting with jaw crack satisfaction before Harlan hauled me off. His presence bouncer solid. The aftermath fractured, Aaron. Hearing via grapevine. Reignited old fires. You dragged Dad into your drama? Again? Accusations flew in the kitchen. Harlan mediating with weary grace. Enough. Jake's poison, Christian's not. But doubt infected, Harlan withdrawing into work binges, me into isolation. Am I the complication? I whispered one night, sheets tangled. You're the cure, he replied, but eyes held storms. Betrayal's final twist came not from Jake, but within. A leaked email chain from Harlan's brokerage, gossip from a jealous colleague, twisting our story into scandal fodder. Coach's boy toy, headlines in local rags, clients pulling listings. Harlan shrugged it off, storm in a teacup. But the toll etched deeper, our haven cracked. Through it, love deepened, human, flawed, resilient. We fixed what we could. Therapy sessions for me, unpacking Jake's gaslight, support groups for Harlan, Aaron's hand in his at scans. Pain didn't hide. It transformed, alchemized into bonds unbreakable. Summer scorched the coast, sun baking asphalt into mirages. But our trio's rhythm steadied into something resembling normalcy. Scarred, yes, but whole. Harlan's treatments wrapped with cautious optimism, side effects fading like bad dreams, his energy rebounding in weekend projects. Restoring a '67 Mustang in the driveway, Aaron under the hood with me handing tools, banter flowing easy as coolant. Pass the wrench, lovebird. Aaron quip, no bite left. His acceptance a quiet victory we'd earned drop by drop. My own healing unfolded slower, Jake's barbs festering until therapy peeled them back. Sessions in a sunlit office overlooking the wharf, unpacking the boy who'd equated love with performance, hiding vulnerabilities behind quips and quick exits. You're worthy as is, my counselor affirmed, words Harlan echoed in pillow talk. No masks here, Chris. Just us. We traveled light that season. A road trip up the 101 to Oregon, windows down, playlist heavy on Dylan and the Avett Brothers. Stops at crab shacks in Crescent City, Harlan's hand on my knee as dunes rolled by. Campfires where Aaron roasted marshmallows to char, declaring, "This is family, weirdos. Own it." Laughter came freer, bonds gelling under vast skies, the flat tires stranding a distant footnote in our odyssey. Yet drama lurked, inevitable as riptides. Harlan's ex-colleague, bitter over a lost promotion, escalated the gossip mill. Anonymous posts on neighborhood forums, dredging our age gap and Aaron's betrayal into tabloid fodder. Predatory vibes. One screed read, twisting care into caricature. Harlan fielded calls from old coaching buddies, voice steady but eyes shadowed. Aaron deleted threads furiously, muttering, "Small-town syphilis." The real gut punch landed at a community fundraiser, Harlan's annual youth sports gala at the high school gym, banners fluttering with team colors, kids tumbling in organized chaos. I volunteered at the raffle table, tie askew, when Jake materialized, sober suit a thin veneer over sleeves. "Fancy fundraiser for the geronophile," he sneered, close enough for cologne to choke. "Walk away, Jake." My voice was even therapy's gift. He didn't. "Heard Pops has cancer history. Convenient." "Huh? You playing nurse for the thrill?" Fury ignited, but before fists could fly, Harlan was there. Arm barring, voice thunder low. "You've said your piece. Now leave, or I'll have security escort your sorry ass out." Jake laughed. Ugly. "Protective much? Bet Aaron loves his new mommy." The gym hushed, heads turning. Aaron, mid-conversation with donors, froze, face paling as realization dawned. He stormed over, inserting between us, voice a whip. "You son of a... Get the hell out, Jake, and stay gone." Security hauled him away, but the damage rippled. Aaron cornered us in the lobby post-event, eyes blazing. "This your chaos again, Chris? Dragging us into fights like some white knight complex." Harlan stepped forward. "Easy, son. Jake's the instigator. Christian handled it till he didn't have to. But it's always him." Aaron exploded, gesturing wild. "The ex, the drama, now dad's rep on the line because you're playing house with my roommate. I thought we were past this." The words eviscerated, old wounds gaping. "Aaron, save it." He bolted, keys jangling, leaving us in echoey silence. Harlan drove us home in taut quiet, his hand seeking mine at red lights. "He'll cool. Family flare-ups. Par for the course. But cooling took weeks. Aaron holed up in the apartment, doors locked to my knocks, texts met with single emojis. Thumbs down, eye rolls. Work suffered. Our app stalled. Deadlines whooshed past in passive-aggressive silence. Harlan mediated via calls. Give him space, but not the cold shoulder. His patience saintly, born of years refereeing teen tempers. I unraveled in private. Runs turning punishing, cafe shifts where smiles cracked porcelain. Harlan found me one dawn on his porch, head in hands, dawn painting the yard in pinks. Talk to me, he urged, settling beside, arm heavy around shoulders. It's me, I confessed, voice muffled. The common denominator. Jake, now Aaron. I'm the flat tire everyone's swerving. Bullshit. He tilted my chin, eyes fierce. You're the spark, Christian. Ignite change, sure scary messy. But without you, I'd be idling Aaron adrift. Own your power, don't apologize for it. His kiss was fierce, grounding, pulling me inside where we made love slow. First time fully, bodies mapping each other with reverence, no rush, just union. Afterward, tangled in sheets, he traced my tattoos. Faded script from a rebellious phase. Be still and know. That's you, he murmured. Stillness in the storm. Emboldened, I confronted Aaron solo. Ambush at dawn. Coffee in hand as peace offering. Apartment door cracked to my plea. Let me in, man. Please. He relented, begrudging, gesturing to the couch strewn with code printouts. What, Chris? Gonna spin this as my issue? No. I sat, uninvited. You're right, my baggage spilled over. Jake's poison and I let it splash. But this us with your dad? It's not drama. It's home. He scoffed, but eyes softened. Home? Felt like invasion. Like you two rewrote the rules without my say. Fair. I leaned forward. But we include you now, always will. You're the glue, Aaron. Without you, none of this clicks. Tears welled, his laugh watery. Sap. Fine truce. But if you break his heart, I break your kneecaps. Hug was bone crush, brotherhood's resurrection. The app relaunched stronger. Beta testers raving. Harlan's brokerage rebounded. Clients returning with screw the haters' loyalty. Yet climax brewed in autumn's underbelly. Harlan's checkup revealed a shadow recurrence, aggressive, demanding chemo's harsh rhythm. News dropped like a bomb in the kitchen. Aaron's fork clattering mid-bite. No. You're clear, Doc said. Harlan's hand trembled on mine. They were wrong. But we're fighting, same team. Devastation hit tidal. Aaron raging at fates. Me curating playlists for infusions. Holding Harlan's basin through heaves. Why now? I whispered nights, his head in my lap. Fingers combing silver hair. Because life's a bastard. He rasped, Rye. But we've got rounds left. Love you, kid, fierce. I love you too. Words anchored us, as chemo stripped flesh but not spirit. Betrayal's ghost resurfaced. Jake. Anonymous tip to the press. Twisting Harlan's health into tragic affair fallout. Tabloids sniffed, but community rallied. Fundraisers at the gala, neighbors dropping pies, kids from old teams mowing lawns. Aaron's speech at the benefit gutted me. My dad's a fighter on fields in life, and Christian? He's the teammate we didn't know we needed. Crowd thundered approval. Harlan's eyes on mine across the room. Love's quiet roar. Through needles and nausea, our bond fortified. Romance in stolen hospital kisses. Humor in bald head jokes. Sleek as a seal. Humanity in vulnerability's embrace. Pain didn't hide. It humanized, forging us unbreakable. Winter returned gentler. Snow dusting the mountains like forgiveness' first layer. And with it, Harlan's battle crested toward dawn. Chemo's gauntlet left him leaner, sharper-edged, but remission's whisper came in March. A scan clean as Pacific dawn. Docs high-fiving in sterile halls. You're a tough son of a gun, Reed. The oncologist clapped, and Harlan's grin, weak but wicked, lit the room brighter than monitors. We celebrated subdued. Clam chowder at Phil's in Moss Landing, Aaron toasting with root beer. To knockouts, not just wins. His arms slung around Harlan. Then me, the circle complete. Jake faded to irrelevance. A barstool philosopher blocked on all channels, his chaos contained. Our app launched viral. Coastal hikers geeking over features I'd coded through tears. Revenue trickling enough for me to quit lattes for full-time dream chasing. Life settled into rhythms profound. Mornings with Harlan in the garden, hands soil-black planting heirlooms. Ellen's tomatoes, stubborn survivors. Evenings with Aaron at board games. Trash talk escalating to alliances against Harlan's old man cheats. Romance bloomed domestic. Harlan's proposal over breakfast burritos. Seaglass ring upgraded to gold band etched be still. Marry me, Christian? Make the detours permanent. Knees hit tile. Yes, tumbling out amid laughter. Aaron bursting in mid-hug. Gross, but congrats, sappy asses. Wedding was backyard intimate. June under redwoods. Officiant a retired coach. Vows exchanged with Buster as ring bearer, tail wagging chaos. Aaron's best man toast skewered lovingly. From flat tires to forever, thanks for the scenic route, Dad. And Chris, don't ever fix that app without me. Vows sealed with kiss salt-tanged. Guests cheering as fog rolled in like blessing. Honeymoon was Big Sur cabin. No roads rushed. Just us, bodies and souls entwined in lazy exploration. Harlan's whispers mapping futures. Kids, maybe, adoption, if you're game. Or just us, building legacies in beams and bites. Back home, pains didn't vanish. Flashbacks to Jake's cruelty on bad days. Harlan's aches on rainy ones. But they integrated, threads and tapestry rich with scar strength. Aaron moved out post-grad, crashing a startup in SF but weekends obligatory for family fixes. Harlan's barbecues, my trail maps. One anniversary, Harlan unearthed the old Harley. Keys in my palm. Your turn to drive, partner. We roared Highway 1, wind whipping confessions free, pulling over at the overlook where our kiss first ignited. That flat tire? He yelled over engine rumble. Best breakdown ever. I laughed, helmet off, pulling him close. Stranded me right where I needed to be. Years unfurled. Adoptions of twins, wide-eyed wonders with Aaron's grin and my curiosity. Harlan coaching Pee-wee again, sidelines booming encouragement. Aaron's visits with his own partner, a coder with impeccable timing, expanding the weave. Pains surfaced, health scares minor, family rifts mended slow. But always we jacked up, fixed, rolled on. In quiet moments, Harlan's hand in mine, I'd trace his wedding band, gratitude swelling. The boy who'd hidden hurt in highway speeds found harbor. Not perfect, but human. Dramatic in storms, emotional in calms, romantic in sunsets, humanistic in holds. Betrayals sting dulled to lessen. Love, once stranded, proved the ultimate tow. And so, under California stars, we endured, not flawless, but fiercely. The flat tires gift a life rebuilt, roadworthy and true.